Hello everybody, my name is Comic Cats, and my presentation today is Sustainable Seafood in the Achievable Goal. During this presentation, we're going to be going over the impacts and practices of the fishing industry, what sustainable seafood and foods are, the impacts on our economic situation and our economy, and how overfishing can negatively affect our ecosystem. Now, at the end, we're going to be doing a little activity where you're going to be filling out a questionnaire to assess kind of what you've taken from some of the topics discussed. And then we'll go over that and evaluate more or less how you stand at the end of this presentation about some of the topics. But first, does anyone know what a sustainable food is? Anybody? No one? Well, it's a good thing, because sustainable foods are foods that can be taken from an ecosystem and the resources are used at the rate of recovery. So more or less, that would be like a cow eating grass and then digesting the grass, excreting manure, and the grass would be fertilized. This is a sustainable system. And for seafood, what we're more or less looking for is that seafood is taken from the ecosystem in an environmentally friendly way and we're not disrupting the food chain. So this means we're trying to avoid capture of predators, we're trying not to disrupt the sea life on the floor of the ocean. But unfortunately, due to overfishing and some of the challenges with meeting seafood demand, it's caused us to try new methods of getting these fish. Now this picture shows what's known as a troweling operation. And what it is essentially a big, heavy net that just drags on the bottom of the ocean floor. And you know, there is fish radar and stuff like that to track populations that they want, but anytime you have just a big net and you're dragging it, you're catching all sorts of stuff. You're ripping up cold water reefs on the ground, you're picking up turtles, sharks, whatever's down there. So this is probably not the most sustainable method to catch fish. But with a sustainable system of having fish, you can bring tremendous economic growth to a local population. For example, if you had a fisherman catching a fair amount of fish for his local community, he's not depleting the ecosystem of his local sea or water source. When he takes those fish and sells it to his neighbors, he's keeping the money within the community and he can spend the money within the community. So you aren't importing, you aren't creating a deficit within the community. What often happens though is people get greedy or the demand gets too high. With our current population being as high as it is, the demand for fish is very, very high, so this leads to overfishing. There's three types of overfishing. There's recruit overfishing, which is harvesting of mature fish who are breeding and taking them out of the environment, which stunts the growth of the fish. There's growth overfishing, which is taking the big fish out continually, which in the end reduces the yield of the overall fish catch. And there's ecosystem overfishing, which is taking so much from the environment that you're actually affecting the ecosystem of the environment. So one way to avoid this is, hey, we could farm our fish. Well, this is great. It influences the local economy. We're able to actually provide food for the people in the community, and we have local access. But there are problems with farming. Some of the problems with farming is you have a lot of life in a small area. Anytime you have a huge amount of anything living in a small areas, you're going to have excess waste. So what does happen sometimes with fish farming is you get pollution. What also happens is pollution from our land goes out to the sea. Well, if we have offshore fish farms, the fish are going to pick up that pollution. So they're finding DDT that's been hanging out forever. There's PCBs that were introduced in the 50s that cause reproductive, nervous system, and digestive tract damage. And this is all going into the fish that we're eating. Another negative effect of farming fish is that a key reason why people eat seafood to begin with is the health benefits. Well, these farmed fish are essentially they've been modified just to be big fish to sell to consumers. The nutritional quality of the fish is lower. They're lower in omega-3s, and they're typically not as great as wild fish. And it may sound like the fishing industry is all bad here, but really the fishing industry is only adapted to what it had to do to provide all the fish for the demand. But with the fishing industry, it has an impact of over $48 billion a year. Now, this isn't revenue, this is impact. So this is the money that goes to people with the jobs, and then the money they spend. It's a big system that goes out. So there's 62,000 people that are just involved in the packing and reselling. You know, this isn't the fishermen, this isn't the people fixing the boats, this isn't people manufacturing boats. It's a large amount of people. And we have to keep in mind that if we are going to pass legislation to change fishing methods, that it's going to have potential severe negative effects on all these people. And so right now I'd like you all to take a little bit of time to fill out this activity I have. They're critical thinking questions on how you stand on these topics. Yeah, hopefully they'll get you to think a little bit, and you'll realize that it's not a one-sided debate, that for every action there's a reaction, and that there's no clear-cut choice for how you can choose to solve the situation. Yeah. Okay. This is the list right here. So here's the ones. On the far right are the foods you're going to avoid, underneath avoid. And the middle column is, you know, better choices, and the far left are the best choices for a sustainable resource food. The difference is that these imported shrimp may be caught in methods that are, you know, not as safe as if they were caught here. So maybe they're doing different things to catch those shrimp that are harmful to the environment that we don't know to do.
I don't know where it comes
Okay, I know you guys are talking about it a little bit, but did anyone, for the second answer, for the second question, what did you guys think about that situation? It's the sushi chef, right? That one? Can I get sustainable food?
Could you introduce a new kind of fish?
Yeah.
Because I know orange roughy used to be considered like a really bad fish, and all of a sudden now it's like a delicacy.
Yeah. It's kind of tough, but another question that she brought up was why was one imported type of fish different from another one that isn't imported? And that is because some of the methods, like the deep trawling, may be different. So one study that I uncovered while doing this is that this company in the New England area were deep trawling shrimp, and this company was actually pulling up 90% bycatch. And bycatch is stuff they weren't intending to catch to begin with. So 90% of the stuff they were actually pulling up from the ocean floor, they didn't want to begin with. So, you know, it can be potentially very harmful to the environment. So with that in mind, I'd like you to turn the page over and kind of reflect on topics that we went over. And if you were to focus on one of them, I'd say the second to last one. So that's the big net on the bottom. Huh. Yeah, that's how all of them are. All right. Well, what did you guys feel about the need to kind of drag the ocean floor to meet demands? Is anyone for it, against it? Anybody? Against it? Okay, well then how do you feel about meeting demands? Like if we're supposed to eat more seafood, how are we supposed to get it? 88% of the seafood we eat in this country is imported. So it's kind of hard to point the finger and say the fishing industry is the bad guy in this case. So in conclusion, I'd like to thank you all for giving a lot of thought and time in this activity. And remember that although buying a piece of fish may seem like an ordinary thing, but every time you're buying that piece of fish, you're reinforcing the way that fish was caught and how it got to you and the economic impacts that it had to get there. All right, thank you.